It is the sound of absolute supremacy, a thunderous roar that shakes the water, sending a 2,700-pound shell more than 20 miles. This is the voice of the Iowa-class battleship, the final, most advanced evolution of the dreadnought era. In the history of naval warfare, no class of ship served for so long, across so many conflicts, maintaining its reign as the most powerful surface combatant in every fleet it joined. 4 ships: Iowa, New Jersey, Missouri, Wisconsin. Their story spans 50 years, from the Pacific against the Empire of Japan to the sands of Iraq. And in all that time, through 4 major wars, they shared one legendary, unimpeachable record. The Iowa-class battleship was never defeated. The Iowa class was born not out of traditional battleship thinking, but out of necessity. The year was 1938, and the naval arms treaties were collapsing. The U.S. Navy needed a new capital ship, not to slug it out with slow, heavily armored behemoths, but to keep pace with the new fast Essex-class aircraft carriers. The design mandate was a radical fusion: the colossal firepower of 9 16-inch guns, protected by a formidable armor, all balanced on a hull capable of over 33 knots. This engineering demanded a compromise. The Iowa class had to be long and slender, constrained by the single crucial requirement of being able to transit the Panama Canal. This focus on speed created the fast battleship concept. They were not built just for the traditional battle line, but as the 45,000-ton, heavily armored anti-aircraft escorts for the Navy's new offensive weapon, the Carrier Task Force. When the Iowa and her sisters arrived in the Pacific in 1944, the face of naval warfare had already changed. The carrier was king, but the battleships still had a role only they could fill: protection and, occasionally, the kill shot. Their first and most famous surface-to-surface action came during Operation Hailstone at Truck Lagoon in February 1944. USS Iowa and USS New Jersey were detached to hunt down a fleeing Japanese convoy. Here, the long-range 16-inch Mark VII guns proved their dominance. Iowa engaged and sank the Japanese light cruiser Katori. This was one of the few instances in the Pacific where an American battleship sank an enemy surface ship. But their primary function was bombardment and air defense. The Iowa's massive secondary battery, 20 dual-purpose 5-inch guns, accounted for nearly half of all Japanese aircraft shot down by the Fast Carrier Task Force between late 1944 and early 1945. They were a shield. When the USS Missouri BB-63 took a punishing kamikaze hit in 1945, the damage was minor: a dent in a small fire, a testament to the battleship's thick armor. On September 2, 1945, the war ended on the deck of the Missouri, forever cementing its role as the stage for history. The jet age dawned, and the battleships were quickly decommissioned. But in war, nothing delivers high-caliber destruction like a battleship. The Korean War brought them back. From 1951, the ships provided relentless naval gunfire support, NGFS, targeting North Korean bunkers and supply lines with unmatched accuracy and sustained volume. The USS New Jersey, BB-62, was the only Iowa class to be briefly reactivated for the Vietnam War in 1968. For 6 months, her 16-inch guns were an absolute terror to Viet Cong forces, able to deliver destructive fire on targets 24 miles inland. This power was unique, cost-effective, and impossible to ignore. The most surprising chapter of their service came in the 1980s. President Ronald Reagan's 600-ship Navy initiative demanded an immediate, visible counter to the massive Soviet Kirov-class battlecruisers. The Navy had 4 hulls, 4 floating fortresses in reserve. The Iowas were recommissioned and given a transformative refit. Their outdated light anti-aircraft guns were stripped and replaced with modern technology. 32 BGM-109 Tomahawk cruise missiles for long-range land attack and 16 RGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles. The ships were now a perfect hybrid, blending the brutal power of the 16-inch gun with the precision of the missile age. They were once again relevant capital ships. The final act of their combat legacy occurred in 1991 during Operation Desert Storm. USS Missouri and USS Wisconsin were deployed to the Persian Gulf. The war began with the new weapons. Wisconsin served as the Tomahawk launch commander, directing the opening salvo of missiles into Iraq. But the real value was the old gun. The battleships provided the crucial, overwhelming shore bombardment needed to threaten an amphibious invasion, pinning Iraqi forces along the coast. In an age of laser-guided bombs, the 2,700-pound 16-inch shell remained the most psychologically devastating weapon in the U.S. arsenal. No armor could withstand it, and no enemy could escape the fear it instilled. The Iowa class was a magnificent paradox, the pinnacle of a dying weapon system, yet capable of outlasting its own obsolescence by 50 years. The controversy. Their 1980s revival was controversial, criticized for high operating costs and a massive crew complement compared to missile cruisers. They also never tested their strength against their true contemporary rivals, like the Japanese Yamato class. But in every instance where the ships fired a shot in anger, from the sinking of the Katori to the bombardments of Iraq, they achieved their objective without succumbing to any enemy attack. USS Iowa, New Jersey, Missouri, and Wisconsin are all preserved today. They are the ultimate testament to American engineering, a physical legacy of a warship so well designed, so powerful, that in a half-century of continuous conflict, the Iowa-class battleship was never defeated. Was the Iowa-class truly the ultimate warship, or was its service longevity a product of strategic luck? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see how the Iowa class would have fared against the Yamato, subscribe and ring that bell to join us for the next chapter in naval history.